Hey everyone, welcome back to another session. In today's class, we are going to deal with the excretory system of cockroach. Now, excretory system की अगर बात करें तो what is the meaning of excretory system? What is the use of it? It is basically used for the elimination of nitrogenous waste. Basically, when I talk about the nitrogenous waste, we are bothered about the three nitrogenous waste. One is your ammonia, second one is your urea, and third one is your uric acid. We have already discussed that my cockroach is a uricotelic. Uricotelic means what is the excretory nitrogenous waste for cockroach? It is the uric acid. This was the neat question, so remember it. Okay. So nitrogenous waste which is released out by the cockroach is the uric acid. Hence, it is also called it as uricotelic animal. Now, when we talk about all these three nitrogenous bases, actually ये तीन कैसे बने हैं? It is because of the evolution. We know that we all have been evolved from the bacteria. Bacteria, where it was there? Bacteria was there in the sea, right? In the ocean it was present. So आज हम देख सकते हैं sea से we all are present. We human are staying in the terrestrial. We are called as the terrestrial animals. So we stay on the land. So all these things have been evolved in order to survive. Okay, in order to survive in a better way. So uric acid का requirement क्या है? Minimal water for the excretion. Now a cockroach cannot have more amount of water because it is the terrestrial one, right? It does not stay in water. So for excretion of uric acid, it requires minimal amount of water, but maximum amount of energy is required. Maximum amount of what is required? Energy is required, right? Now, all the excretory structure I have written in one page. I want all of you to write it like this, okay? Now, excretory structure, here we are going to talk about the Malpighian tubule, which is nothing but the main excretory system. We'll discuss in the next page. What about the additional excretory system? Here we'll see the uricose gland. This is super important with respect to the need. The question was asked, which one is not the excretory organ? Okay, so if you don't know, you won't be able to opt for the correct answer. So please focus over here. Uricose gland, fat body, nephrocytes and cuticles. Now cuticle, though we already know what is cuticle. It is the outermost layer which is present. So in the outermost layer, what will happen? The nitrogenous waste is deposited over here, and during molting, we know that cockroach, we'll study that the cockroach will go 13 molting. Okay, 13 molting. What is molting? It is nothing but the shedding of the skin. Shedding of the skin. As cockroach keeps growing in the size, what will happen? The outer layer of the skin will start. What is the outer layer? That is nothing but the exoskeleton. Okay, it will start shedding down. This we call it as molting. So cuticle में क्या होता है? These nitrogenous waste are going to be deposited over here and eliminated through the process of molting. That means the skin will be molted out. It will be removed out. Then the next one is nephrocyte, which is nothing but colorless and binucleated. How many nucleus will be present? Binucleated. Arranged on the either side of the heart. So this is your heart. On either side of the heart, what is present? Your nephrocytes are present, right? Then the next one is your fat bodies. Fat bodies are lobed ones. So if this is the fat body, you will have many lobules present inside the fat body. So we call it as it is the lobed one. What is the color of it? It is white in color, where you will see beneath the body wall. So if this is my cockroach, beneath the body wall, what you will see? You will see the fat bodies. कभी cockroach को मारा है? If you will step on the cockroach, some whitish thing comes out of it. That is nothing but your hemolymph along with the fat bodies. क्यों? क्योंकि fat bodies just below the body wall it is present. Okay. Now, fat bodies consist of some cell which we call it as urate cell. These urate cells are present where? On the corpora adiposa. Adiposa याद आ रहा है? Adipose tissue is going to store the fat. So corpora adiposa. What about the another function of urate cell? It is going to absorb and store urate. Means it is going to store uric acid throughout its life. Okay, throughout its life, uric acid is present in the fat bodies. This type of excretion we call it as storage excretion. This type of excretion we call it as storage excretion. Ma'am, if it is present in the cockroach, then why are we calling it as an excretion? Because it is present only in the fat bodies. It is not, distributed among all the body parts. It is only stored in the fat bodies, so it is not going to harm the other organs. Hence, we call it as storage excretion. And the last one here, it is nothing but the uricose gland. Uricose, that means it is going to store uric acid. Fat bodies are also going to store the uric acid. What is the difference? Fat body will store for the entire life. Uricose gland won't be storing for the entire life, right? Now, uricose gland, also known as utriculi majoris, which is present around the mushroom gland. This mushroom gland you will study in the male reproductive system. Just now abhi bas dekh lo. Around the mushroom gland you have the uricose gland. Now, from this uricose gland, how excretion takes place during the copulation. Just now I told you mushroom gland you will study in the reproductive system. Reproductive system means how they do the copulation. What is copulation? It is nothing but the mating. So during the copulation of male and female cockroach, what will happen? Uric acid is released out through which gland? Uricose gland, right? Now, here you can see this is this white color noodle one which you can see over here. This is nothing but your fat body which is present just below the your body wall. And here you can see the Malpighian tubule. Kuch yaad aa raha hai? Digestive system mein we studied where it is present in between the midgut and the hindgut, right? Now, if I talk about the Malpighian tubule, it is long. It will be like this. There is no branching. Can you see any branching over here? No. It is yellowish in color, present between midgut and hindgut. Okay, यहाँ पे भी एक होगा midgut and hindgut. Now, lies freely in the hemolymph surrounding to this Malpighian tubule. What is present? Hemolymph is present. Okay, hemolymph is present. Now, blind at one end. See, if you will see, its structure is like this. So, on the other end, what is it? Can you see any opening? There is no opening, so we call it as blind end. We call it as blind end. How many microphysial tubules are present? 100 to 150. This was the neat question. How many bundles are present? 6 to 8. Per bundle, how many? 15 to 25. Now, here we are going to bother about the two scientists we are going to study about. One is the Marcello Malpighi and other one is the Michael. Michael has called these tubules as the Malpighian tubule जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं. Class, do not get confused between Malpighian tubule and Malpighian corpuscles. We have studied Malpighian corpuscles in human body, okay? But here Malpighian tubules are present. Both are different, right? Now, Marcello Malpighi gave these tubule name as the vasa varicosa. Which one we are using? We are using Malpighian tubules, right? Now, this Malpighian tubule का अगर structure की बात करें तो it is lined by the glandular epithelium. So if this is the Malpighian tubule, it is lined by the glandular epithelium. It is lined by the glandular epithelium. Like this, okay? Now, glandular epithelium is the brush border. Like this it will be, okay? It will be like a brush border. It is going to absorb what? Water, salt, carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste. From where? From hemolymph, because all these things are present where? In the hemolymph. Now, if I talk about the Malpighian tubule, it is divided into two portions. This is called as proximal. P for proximal, P for pass. Midgut is there na? Midgut के पास क्या है? Proximal. And this one is the distal. D for distal, D for dood. That is distal region, okay? Now, distal region we call it as secretory region. When I say secretory means secretion will be there. Some secretion will be there, right? Now, if I talk about the absorptive region, it is nothing but absorption will takes place. Absorption की बात करें तो where it will takes place? It will takes place in the proximal region. Secretion कहाँ पे होगा? Distal region में होगा, ठीक है? Now, let's see the structure. You will understand very clearly. This grey color part which I have drawn, this is nothing but your hemolymph. And these three tissues I have drawn, and this is one Malpighian tubule. Just now I told you the structure of it. It has the glandular epithelial cell which is the having the brush border. Like this it will be present, okay? Brush border. Now see here very carefully. In the tissue, metabolic activity will take place. If metabolic activity is happening, that means the excretory waste will be produced. Here we are going to bother about few excretory waste. For example, salt, water and carbon dioxide. And another one, the salt which I can talk about here is the potassium urate. एक salt का नाम ले लिया है, that is nothing but the potassium urate. So due to metabolic activity, tissue is going to release out potassium urate, which is nothing but the excretory salt. Now these potassium urate are going to enter into the epithelial cell. कौन सी side पे? Secretion side पे. Why secretion side पे? Because I want to break this. What is my excretory material? I mean, what is cockroach excretory material, it is uric acid. So I'm not bothered about the potassium urate. What do I want? I want uric acid. So this potassium urate is going to enter into the glandular epithelial cell of the secretory portion. Here potassium urate is converted into potassium bicarbonate and uric acid. Now these potassium bicarbonate and uric acid is going to be secreted out. Where? In the lumen. What is lumen? Lumen is the empty space in some organ. Okay, अगर बाहर है तो हम उसको क्या बोलते हैं? सील और साइनस बोलते हैं. साइनस छोटी स्पेस के लिए, सील बड़ी स्पेस के लिए. अगर किसी ऑर्गन के अंदर है तो व्हाट डू वी कॉल इट एज? वी कॉल इट एज ल्यूमेन. सो पोटेशियम बाइकार्बोनेट एंड यूरिक एसिड is going to enter into the lumen of the Malpighian tubule, where uric acid is going to enter into the hindgut for the excretion. What about the potassium bicarbonate? Bicarbonate is very important. It acts like a buffer. What is buffer? It is going to maintain the pH, the acidic or the alkaline nature of the hemolymph. It is being maintained by the buffer. So these potassium bicarbonate are reabsorbed by which part? By the proximal part. Why? Because that is the absorptive part. So potassium bicarbonate is reabsorbed. Water is reabsorbed. Of course, my cockroach cannot, afford to remove lots of water. It is required, otherwise hemolymph will be thickened, right? So water is reabsorbed, and what is thrown out? Your carbon dioxide, your uric acid. But for the carbon dioxide, we are going to follow the pathway that is in the respiration. So all the waste salt is excreted out, uric acid is excreted out. What is absorbed? Potassium bicarbonate, and water is reabsorbed in your hemolymph, and then it is going to enter into your tissue, right? So this was all about the Malpighian tubule. Now when the Malpighian, I told you uric acid will enter into the hind lymph. How that happen? These Malpighian tubule will contract. When this contract, urine is pushed into the ileum. That is the first part of hind lymph. From ileum it enters into colon. From colon it is going to enter into the rectum. In rectum you have such foldings are present which we call it as rectum papillae. Rectum papillae. These rectum papillae are going to reabsorb almost all water, so that the thing which is coming out, which is solid uric acid, excreted out with the fecal matter. Now if we'll talk about as urine and fecal matter alag aata hai, but when we'll talk about the cockroach, urine and fecal matter you cannot separate it. It comes together like a solid uric acid with the fecal matter. Now removal of water through alimentary canal. Why this process happened? Why Malpighian tubule is connected with just above the hind lymph? So that this water movement will enter into the rectal papillae, and the complete water absorption takes over here, so that the dry uric acid is thrown out, and that is the adaptation for the cockroach in order to survive in the terrestrial world, right? Here you can see the diagram. So that's all we have in today's class about the excretory system.